welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Let's dive right in the first topic, a very important topic, and that is diversity. How would you define diversity?
My strong belief is that in order to get diverse talent at the top of an organization, you have to have a strong pipeline. And so we really started then to focus very much on the middle management within the company, making sure that was very diverse, such that as a result, when promotions emerged, we now have, sort of a 50% female representation at many levels. A little tougher in tech. I have to say that's where we have under 50%. That's an area we're working on. But in general, we have a fairly broad, diverse population.
Exactly, yes. And why do you think it is so important, diversity?
Yeah, again, this was really my own experience during the transformation, particularly in the early years, where the most diverse teams were the most creative and innovative and had the best results.
Then to take the step from the diversity and inclusion to the digital transformation, where, of course, you have the unique experience of an 18-year digital transformation time. Who are your customers?
Yeah, so our customers are professionals in health, tax, legal, financial services. And the common, kind of component across, because obviously they perform different functions, but the common issues that they face or challenges that they face really have been consistent over the last 18 years. They've become more accelerated, but really consistent. And the first is that they really struggle to keep up to date with new developments. And so the amount of information is just, overwhelming at this point. And they need help kind of separating what's important from what's not important. They need help to comply with the rules and regulations. And that is our area of expertise. So if you go back, in the history of the business from the 1800s to today, what we have always been known for is our expertise and our ability to curate, vast and complex information and make it digestible for our customers.
And now, if we talk about the transformation journey, could you point out whether, if you would have to divide it in different phases, what would they be?
Particularly the first 6 years. That was really the period of major transformation. And when I came on board as CEO, I would say we had a burning platform at Wolters Kluwer. The company was not growing. It was struggling financially. And it was because we had been late to the internet. And as a result of that, we had to move quickly. What did we do? We did 3 things that have turned out, again, in hindsight, to be absolutely critical. The first was to make many portfolio changes. The prior strategy had been an acquisition-led strategy. So we had acquired, probably 300 businesses over, say, 20 years. And a lot of the businesses weren't core. So we shed a lot of assets. We also bought assets that represented the future, so digital assets to strengthen our core positions. And so the goal was to get very strong market positions. And why is that? Is when you actually go out and talk to our customers, what you find is they want fewer suppliers and they want the products to work together. So what that meant is that we needed, in order, for example, to go serve the tax and accounting market, we wanted to be in a position to say, we have everything you need from a product perspective to be a successful accountant. And so we needed to make sure we had those products in the portfolio, and that required getting rid of some things that were not core, but also acquiring some things, and of course, building things organically to get that strong breadth. So that those portfolio changes were absolutely essential to creating the market positions we have today. The second critical factor was reinvestment. So we started a plan, which we still deploy today, of reinvesting 8 to 10% of our revenues back in new and enhanced products. And then, of course, the third area that was very critical was talent. So at the time, we didn't have a lot of digital skills and technology skills. And so it's interesting today, our largest group of employees are technical people. And back in, 2003, we had very few. And so that talent transformation was also pretty critical.
How many people could you, of the original people when you started in 2003, could you take along and maybe retrain? How many did you have to let go? And how many new talents did you attract?
Yeah, I would say at the senior levels, so say the top 500 people, we switched out about 60% of them, did not, either because they didn't have the skill set or they didn't align around, where we were headed with business. So, but that occurred pretty early within the first 3 years. And then a lot of the skills was really around as we began to grow again, you not only grow revenues, but you grow jobs, right? And so as we moved into a growth phase, a lot of the job growth is in development, so technology roles, and in sales and marketing. And those have been our fast growing areas. If you look at our experts, that population has been very retained and hasn't changed that much because we still require that expertise to build the products. So it really was around technology. So today, about a third of our jobs are technology oriented. Again, that was 1 or 2% back in 2003.
How did you get the shareholders along? While, as you said, the financial results were pretty flat, 6 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And you invested an enormous amount of money.
Yeah, it required a huge amount of work to make that happen. And it starts with being very clear on where you're going with the business, right? So we spent a lot of time on, developing the strategy, making it extremely clear to people, setting expectations. That was a big part of any transformation. You have to be clear on where are you going, what are you going to do to get there? And then how long it's going to take to get there? And then, of course, what are the benefits, not just, again, for shareholders, but customers and employees?
How did you make sure that you stayed close to customers and made the relevant stuff?
So we do a 3-year plan that represents the corporate focus, but then every year within each of our business units, we do a rolling annual plan. And in that annual plan, part of the goal of all the units is to talk to customers. I mean, we talk to customers every day. Our innovation process, so we have a very clear process that all the units follow in terms of how to innovate. And in that innovation process, it starts from day one with getting customers working hand in hand with us.
I can imagine that you also got more customer insights because you moved from print to online.
Yes.
What did
absolutely.
that do to the business?
Yeah, that is such a remarkable, element of the transformation, which makes it really exciting because in the print world, you'd spend all this time developing a product and you kind of throw it over the wall, so to speak, but you really didn't even really understand what customers were doing with the product. In the digital world, we have tremendous usage statistics, and so what we can do is not only from a marketing perspective, figure out certain bundles that customers will likely want to buy because the products are kind of linked together. But very importantly, we use it as a source of innovation because, these professions are highly complex professions. So it allows us to know that, okay, if a lawyer is looking at something in security law in a certain area, they're likely trying to solve, a certain topic. And so we can guide them. We can provide them with more insights. You may want to look at this. You may want to look at that. We can provide them with certain workflow tools. So those usage statistics are really critical for getting insights into actually what customers are doing with the products.
And what do you think should be the minimum term of a CEO to do a transformation like this?
Well, the average CEO, I think McKinsey actually does a survey, I think, I don't know if they still do it, but in the past, the average was 4 years. Which is, I think, too short to do any kind of transformation. So I would say for something at the scale of Wolters Kluwer, where we had to change literally every aspect of what we do, you need at least 5 to 10 years to get it done. I would say the last 8 years have really been about the next transformation. We're in the second phase. The first phase was print to digital. The second phase is digital information to expert solution. And so, if you think about, one transformation, it's probably a decade